Hey everybody, and welcome back to Return to Drangleic, Episode 3. I'm Fox with Foxeo Plays, also Fox of FoxeoGames, my main channel. When last we left off, I was failing miserably to blow up that wall. So what I'd like to do is to buy a few more explodey thingies and see if we can blow it up from the other side. That's easier, although it takes longer to get around there. Oh, there's an explodey thingy. But I get the feeling I should buy two just in case my first explodey thingy doesn't explode in the right way. So let's pop that soul. Sounds like a new game show, right? Am I right? Do people still watch game shows? Is that even a thing? Are game shows still a thing that people do? One of the many things that people do, I suppose. Okay. We're not going to worry about going into human form. We are going to actually check and make sure we fully upgraded our weapon, because upgrading is what it's all about. It's like the hokey pokey. Upgrading. That's what it's all about. I'm not going to sing, guys. I can't sing. One thing I've learned is that my attempts to sing are never appreciated. I was okay at a few songs when we were doing the karaoke in Japan. I guess here in the United States you pronounce it karaoke. But oh, look at that. Oh, well, hello there. I didn't expect you to show up unannounced the way you did. I'm actually fresh off of Bloodborne, and as I'm hitting these guys, I was looking at my health, expecting my health to go back up. And then, of course, instantly realized this is not Bloodborne. Dark Souls 2 does not have a rally mechanic, at least not by default. I think, isn't there a ring that gives you a small amount of health every time you hit an enemy? Or kill an enemy? Oh, that's nice and hot. I preheated my mug this time. Today's drink of choice is hot coffee. Hot, black, and hot, with nothing in it. Most anything that gets put in coffee is just not a good thing. Although there is something called bulletproof coffee, which is big among people on a ketogenic diet, a keto diet, or a low carb diet. It essentially involves putting MCT oil or coconut oil, either one. They're very similar. And then putting butter, as well as, let's see, MCT oil, butter, and one other thing I think you put in it. I can't remember. I actually didn't mind it so much, but because of my bad acid reflux, I didn't do it very often. Although I may try it a little more in the future. I don't like being attacked by multiple enemies at once. Oh, crap. Well, thank you for joining me, guys. It's been a pleasure. This has been episode 3 of Return to Drangleic. I'm Fox with Foxeo Plays, and I will see you all next time. I'm just kidding. Did I have you going? Did I have you going? I'm still recovering, guys, from my hospitalization. But I'm doing better now. I'm disappointed that I lost my souls. I'm disappointed that I'm playing Dark Souls 2. No, actually, every time I go to start this, I actually really look forward to it. And I feel like this will be a fun, interesting experience. But then when I do start it, I get really frustrated by a lot of the mechanics in the game. I think I'll start enjoying it a lot more once I get my adaptability up and I get the normal Dark Souls style iframes. So that's going to be my first goal. And in fact, I think if I ever play this game again, which I doubt I will, I mean, I doubt I'd do it this time, I think what might be a really good idea for me is to... And I know this sounds terrible, and this isn't fair, this isn't how you're supposed to play, and I would do this totally offline, of course, just because it's not appropriate to do it online. But I think it would be a good idea for me to basically start the game with a character whose adaptability is at a point where you get normal iframes. So that would mean, you know, editing the character stats before you even start the game. Now, people have done this, like in Dark Souls. They would start a fresh new game and edit their character so that they start with, like, the ring you get from Calamite that makes everything do twice as much damage. There are people who have done these sort of, like, character edits. And in my opinion, if you're disadvantaging yourself, I think it's fine if you go online. You're actually at a disadvantage. I don't think anyone's going to say that that's cheating, really. Technically it is because you're modifying your character, but shoot, who cares if it's just a disadvantage? But if you're giving yourself any form of advantage, then I would say you can't, obviously you can't be going online, can't be fighting players online because you're basically cheating. So, you know, it's something to consider. Yeah, see right there, I actually should have dodged that. But it's the iframes that I don't have because of adaptability. Okay, well I didn't know he could do that. I'm just glad I survived. I'm just glad to be alive, everybody. Let me tell you about my near-death experience. My life flashed before mine eyes. Mine eyes have seen the near-death, and it was not glorious, actually. I felt like a loser. Alright. Glad to be of service, my friend. I have returned you to the land of the dead. Oh! Oh, ho, 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 that was close. I actually didn't know if I had the stamina to do that before I hit the button for it. Oh. Oh, look at him backing up like a little sissy. What a wuss! Yeah. Didn't do you any good to block, did it now? Alright. Oh, how did you get up here? How did you get up here? Look at this. I'm owning this game. After having gotten owned several times. Alrighty, here we go, 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 here we go. Just a little jab to the legs. Oh, I meant to get him a second time before he fell, but that's okay. Oh, look at him face plant. That sounded harsh too. Man, his face just slammed into the ground. Oh, shoot. Yeah, that tracking. That tracking. Oh, wait, look at this. My lock-on told me where somebody was before I spotted him myself. Oh my goodness, that was close. So close. Too close for comfort. Okay, let's blow this door or wall open. Who's ready for this? Y'all ready for this? I haven't decided a topic for today, but we did talk about net neutrality in the last episode of Dark Souls 2 Return to Drangleic. I do recommend that you actually watch these, alternating between these episodes and the Bloodborne episodes, because I'm doing them both kind of at the same time. By the way, this game loves to make things like this an actual obstruction. There's an area in the game, there's more than one, where you have to take a long way around because of an elevation like that. Like, you could literally just lift your leg up and walk across it. Now, a lot of games do this, especially older games, but in a Souls game, it just feels totally out of place. You know, that coffee's kind of almost tasteless. I wonder why it didn't taste good this time around. I did everything the same. You know what? I did all the correct steps in the coffee making process. It's the coffee grounds that failed me. They're the ones that failed. The coffee grounds are to blame. Okay, so we got to be careful here. It's easy to get surrounded and massacred. This is really where I would love to have the ability to shoot. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, that's out of the question. I don't even have enough dexterity for it. Okay. Oh, yes! Did you see that, my friends? Did you see what happened there? Some good stuff, I must say. Some good stuff indeed. You just gotta know how to handle it, my friends. Let me tell you something. People still ask me, am I ever gonna do like a beginner's walkthrough for this game? No, because I'm just not that good at it. I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm not good enough and confident enough to do it. Maybe for Bloodborne someday, but probably not, since, you know, it's so much time has passed. But I will say that a ton of time had passed between the release of Dark Souls and when I actually did my beginner's playthrough for Dark Souls. And when I first released it, people were saying things like, why you release it? This game's getting old now. It doesn't matter anymore. Everyone's already played it. Well, with the announcement of Dark Souls 2, in the release of Dark Souls 2, I noticed a surge in views on that video. It became the most popular video for a walkthrough or a guide for Dark Souls. If you get on YouTube right now and say Dark Souls walkthrough, it should pop up as the first one. Unless, I haven't done it lately, unless like Dark Souls 2 or 3 gets tagged in there. Yeah, it should pop up as the first search term, or as the first search result. Should be my video. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Jeez, I was spamming that button and I didn't want to respond. A Titanite Shard. A very useful item indeed. Hidden path ahead. There's no hidden path ahead. What a bunch of baloney. What a bunch of malarkey. As Joe Biden would say. Wasn't Joe Biden the one that said malarkey? The ex-vice president? Dude, that guy's creepy. Have you seen all the pictures of him feeling up little kids in public? I'm not even joking. That guy is... I'm usually not much for one of like conspiracy theories about politicians, but there is something like actively disturbing about the way he touches kids in public and in pictures. Like he just kind of feels up all over them, boys and girls, in just an unnatural way. Just looks totally creepy. That and the guy is like a rabid racist. He sat one time in front of a committee and he like gleefully talked about the decline of white people in the United States, and he referred to them as white European stock. He said that they will be an absolute minority, and he said that's not a bad thing, and he's sitting there smiling like gleefully. And all I can think is, just imagine if he had used a phrase like that about black people. He said white European stock. I'm not even going to say it verbally, but convert that into an equal phrase for black people and see how it sounds to your ears. Tell me it doesn't sound horribly racist. But, you know, it's okay to be racist against white people in the United States. I picked the wrong time to pick up my my coffee mug there. I just got slammed from behind, and all I could do was back out because I had that coffee mug in my hand, so I couldn't dodge or anything. So I just backed out of that. Yeah, one of the frustrating things about this game is you constantly feel like, okay, that must be it, that's the last enemy, and then another one comes. You're like, okay, that's it, that must be the last enemy, and then another one comes. And sometimes another, and sometimes another on top of that. The ambushes in this game were over-the-top, absurd, ridiculous, like, cartoonish Looney Tunes stupid. Like, just absurd. Like, at the end of it all, Bugs Bunny should turn to the camera and look at it and just give it a look like, really? Come on now. Is this game for real? And it is, unfortunately. Like, they took many of the problems that made Dark Souls 2 an inferior game, and, you know, a game that just a lot of people didn't like as much, that just suffered from a variety of issues. They took those problems, and in many ways, they magnified them in Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, showing that the team not only hadn't learned from their mistakes, not only hadn't learned from massive, massive outcry from the fans, but they'd actually done the exact opposite of what they could have done to fix the game and make it better. Of course, you had the usual crowd of Dark Souls fanboys who just drool over everything that FromSoft does now. At least initially. They drool over it. They just sit there and they're like, oh, they're like Homer Simpson with a box of donuts. And then, of course, after a month or two passes, or 3, then suddenly they start offering valid criticisms. And then they pretend like they were always there, being fair and critical of the game. I'm like, no, you were a drooling fanboy up until just recently, and you're gonna pretend like, oh no, you were there just recognizing all the flaws in the game. I was there. I was lurking in the streams when Dark Souls 2 first came out. I was lurking in the Twitch streams. I was checking out the YouTube videos, and I saw all these people basically just heaping endless praise on the game. Come on now. There we go. Just heaping praise on it. And not just a little bit of praise. I mean, stuff like, you know, better than Dark Souls in every way. That was a literal phrase that a very, very popular streamer said. People to this day ask me who said it. I'm not going to say it because it just stirs up drama. I really am not about drama. I've done a lot of things to intentionally avoid the YouTube, Twitch drama. And one of the big things that I do is I don't mention names. I don't give the names of people when I talk about things like that. Because it's when you name names that drama really stirs up. That's when the drama shoots through the roof. Because once you name a name, all the fans of that person come out in their defense, and all the haters of that person come out, and all the valid criticism of that person comes out, and then it's suddenly a big giant criticism of this person, whereas it was all supposed to be valid criticism of the game, but now it's going to be, oh, who likes who doesn't like who, or you just don't like so-and-so, or you're just jealous of so-and-so being more successful than you on YouTube, and I did my best to dodge that. I really did, I promise. What? What is this nonsense? What is this? What am I having to deal with here, guys? Really? What have I done in life to deserve Dark Souls 2? Alright. I keep forgetting I'm not in two-handed mode. Let me switch over here. Yeah, the two-handed swipe attack on this longsword sucks. It's slow and just awkward. A lot of the game is just slow and awkward, and it feels like your character is moving like they're in quicksand or mud or something. Like they're just kind of dragging their feet through mud. It's just so slow and sluggish is the best way to describe how the game operates and feels. Blow them up, blow them up, blow that stuff up. Are you kidding me? Is that guy alive? Oh no, that's just a sword bouncing. That makes sense. That makes total sense. If you don't have a ranged attack, I'm not really sure what you're expected to be able to reliably do here. Oh, jeez. And half the time it just... Oh, the attacks in this game are so off. I just can't get over it. Every single time I experience it, it's like I experience it anew, how bad the controls and movement and animations are. It still feels like your character's just like ice skating across the game world. Like the way you just move in this game, it's like when you play Fallout 3 or Oblivion and you pull out to third-person view, and you can tell the game wasn't designed to be viewed that way because you look like you're just sort of ice skating across the landscape. That's the feeling I get in this game. It's not that bad, but it is bad. And of course, I find it hilarious. Like, you know, things went bad, things went wrong, when the best defense people can give for a game is, well, it's not that bad. If that's your defense, well, you're admitting there's a problem. It's like if someone accuses you of drinking too much, you're like, well, I don't, you know, my drinking problem isn't that bad. Okay. Okay, yeah, sure, buddy. Sure, buddy. I hate these guys. I don't know why I hate them so much. I really do. Oh, he hit me as I was rolling down. What a punk. Look at that. That counted as blocks. That is so lame. I talked about that in the last episode. There we go. Let's just do some, I can't remember what those are called. Circle strafe backstabbing? Circle backstabs. Circle backstab, circle backstab, circle backstab. Circle backstab. And then when you're done circling and backstabbing, circle and backstab some more. Oh, here's this stupid, here's this ridiculously stupid lizard thingy that is nearly impossible to get in here. Isn't it in here? Where is it? Oh, it's the new Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, so stuff isn't necessarily where it is in the original. Okay. I don't know why I tried to turn that into song. Game design, guys. There is so much to it. And I do realize it is easy to criticize. It is hard to actually build something. And I can say to a certain extent that I create stuff. But my creations are really derivative of other creations. Like when I do a review of a video game, I am creating something, but my creation is derivative and based on and uses the assets and material from someone else's creation. So, you know, it's not an original creation. It's not, I mean, it's far from an original creation. And in that sense, I understand that it's almost unfair to kind of refer to myself as a creator like people who make a video game. Like, so sluggish. Okay, there we go. Like a developer that actually makes a video game. But at the same time, yeah, I do understand what it's like to create something and then have it criticized just kind of out of the blue for seemingly no valid reason. But I want to believe that my criticisms of this game are valid and based on what's actually there. Of course, you know, my frustration with the game leads to a higher level of criticism than might otherwise be there. But, you know, that's to be expected. You know, you're going to be more critical of a game's flaws while you're in the middle of dying because of the flaws versus later when you're just referring to it in the past. I will say, though, that unlike most people, I actually like the Majula theme. I don't listen to it outside of the game, but, you know, I don't put it in my CD player in my car. Yes, I have a CD player in my car, and I still do play CDs. But I do think it fits the game. I do think it fits the mood. I don't get annoyed by it. A lot of people feel like it's really, really annoying. I can leave the game idling in the background and, like, work on my second monitor or type stuff up or whatever I'm doing, and I don't mind the Majula theme playing continuously. So that's a positive thing I could say about the game. I need 3 actual Titanite shards. We have a large shard, don't we? That's really cool that we already got a large shard. So that is... I just realized that is something that they fixed. I believe that was a big major problem in the original Dark Souls 2, is that it took forever to get large Titanite shards, and there was limited access to reinforcement materials, very limited access. So you were essentially locked into whatever weapon you started upgrading. I can't remember where I need to get agility. Is it 91? I'm gonna look it up. Okay. We don't have any more Estus Flash shards. Oh, we can get one though. You guys are probably frustrated with me for not realizing that I had access to another shard this whole time. It's okay, guys. I will make more mistakes. You will see me make more blunders in this game. So that's not all. And that's not all. If you buy now, you'll also get lots more dying. Fox missing tons of stuff, not realizing where stuff is. And Fox getting lost and turned around, going in circles. Order now while supplies last. Alright, let's see here. Silence. Yeah, that's real useful. Yeah, real useful, buddy. Thanks. Gosh, I don't know what I would have done without that message. I hate how those look like treasure chests. They still haven't fixed that. Alright. Let's see here. I want to explore this area before I go down there and risk getting massacred by that skeleton. Is it trapped? No, okay. There we go. Titanite shards, yes! So that's awesome. 3 Titanite shards right there. Yeah, I also don't like how drastic the light changes are. Again, clearly concessions made for the consoles that didn't need to be made on the PC. You know, I don't expect them to make the PC version vastly superior graphically, but I would like them to put a little effort into making the benefits of PC gaming more apparent in their games. Of course, you know, from the standpoint of a PC port, yeah, Dark Souls 2 is infinitely better than Dark Souls. People constantly ask, hey, do you think there'll be a PC port of Bloodborne or Demon Souls? I can tell you right now, the answer is within 99.9% certainty. Absolutely not. Sony helped fund these projects. I mean, Sony, I can't think of any Sony-funded published game that has come out on PC. I'm sure there's a few, maybe. But why would they? Bloodborne is a console seller. Maybe after a few years and kind of everyone who's going to buy it for that has already done it, but no. I don't think so. I don't think there's any reasonable chance of that happening. I think we should just take that idea and put it aside. It ain't happening. That's my opinion, and I feel confident saying it. Look at the way he just... Oh, shoot. Okay. Oh, I hate how they do that sudden run at you. A German spy called that the rushdown attack, and I think that's a great way to describe it. Way too many enemies in this game have a rushdown. And actually, you know, I've talked to German Spy on a few occasions online. I don't know him personally. I haven't talked to him in person. But after Trump won the election, he kind of joined in with other lunatic leftists and started talking about retweeting stuff and hinting at, like, a possible military coup to remove Trump. And I called him out on it, and after that, he blocked me on Twitter. So, yeah. I guess I wouldn't like being called out for it, too, if I were calling for violent overthrow of the U.S. government on Twitter, which quite a few loony leftists did. Quite a few, actually. In fact, the Secret Service in total said they investigated hundreds of threats against Trump's life on Twitter. Of course, the mainstream media covered virtually none of them. In fact, I was talking to a friend a couple weeks ago who's a staunch Democrat and regularly watches the fake news media, which includes Fox News. They're fake as well, guys. They tend to be a little less fake, but not significantly so. And I told them about the multiple attempts on Trump's life, how they've arrested people and prosecuted them for trying to assassinate Trump. And he's like, no, they didn't. That's a lie. That's some Fox News fake news, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, dude, this is for real. Like, they got the guy who, I guess he came from the UK. He tried to wrestle a gun away from an officer, I think it was in California. And they took him into custody, and he told them that he was going to get the gun and shoot and kill Trump, and he was arrested at a Trump rally. And I can't tell you, like, my parents, who are staunch Democrats, didn't know about this. So apparently the mainstream media wasn't covering legitimate, actual attempts to assassinate a major presidential candidate in the United States. They weren't covering it. How do you explain that? How can you... I just don't understand. I don't even care how much you like or don't like a candidate. A major party candidate, Republican or Democrat, if an attempt is made on their life during a campaign, why would that not be, like, big-time coverage? That should be major 24-hour news cycle news. But instead, I found many of my friends had no idea that it even occurred more than once. Another guy tried to rush the stage to kill Trump and was arrested for it. These aren't like conspiracy theories. This isn't like, oh, Alex Jones mentioned this one day. No, this is people were arrested, people were charged. You know, this is legit real stuff happening. And yet, you know, you've got a lot of liberals who think that legitimate real things that actually happened, an actual reality, arrests made, charges made, people making admissions that that's what they were trying to do, and yet liberals are thinking this is just fake news. So it's sad that that's kind of where we live in now, where real news gets called fake and fake news gets called real. And I've talked about this before on Twitter with the Roy Moore incident. Now, Roy Moore was not elected. To be honest, the only reason I would have supported him being elected is not really about who he is so much, other than just to get another person in the Senate who would vote for what Trump is trying to accomplish, which is a lot of good stuff. Most of what Trump wants to accomplish, if you look at his like 100-day proposal before he was elected, I would show that to a lot of people. I would show that to liberals. I would show it to my parents. Nobody I showed it to could really disagree with anything in there except repealing Obamacare. That's the only thing people could actively disagree with. He had so many things in there. He had things about getting rid of lobbyists. Well, putting limitations on lobbyists and lobbyist money. He had things in there about putting in term limits for senators and congressmen. He had things in there about getting rid of unnecessary regulations and helping businesses to grow. Nearly everything in there was minimally controversial, was something that had bipartisan support, for the most part. And yet, you know, the news media didn't report on that kind of stuff. Sadly, I haven't seen really any effort towards Trump's promise to try to get term limits. Now, the only thing Trump can really do to try to get term limits for senators and congressmen, look at this. I have no solution for this. In Dark Souls, the solution was that you could always just spin around enemies, so it was... was I not blocking? Did you not see my shield up? Yes, it was, and it didn't count. Unbelievable. Doesn't even recognize my shield being up. Yeah, the Dark Souls solution was to make it so you could just spin around them. The Dark Souls 2 solution is to make them spin like they're on a record player. This is where you play that "You Spin Me Right Round Baby" song. Okay, that time it counted. Whatever. I don't have a solution for that, honestly. I mean, if you make it so that you can spin around any enemy, it makes it too easy. If you make it so that the enemy just matches you 1 for 1, it becomes comically stupid how you just spin around each other for even minutes at a time. Again, 100, just being totally honest, I don't have a solution for that, and I don't know what the solution would be. I can't even think of where I'm supposed to go right now. Okay. Oh, one thing I was talking about on Twitter today. Where am I headed? Oh, you know what? I don't need to go this way. Okay. Is the GOP tax bill. One thing that really saddens me is to see just the blatant, just blatant, horrible dishonesty being shown by the news media. And we're talking on the level of willful, intentional, undeniable lying that the news media does on a regular basis. But in this case, why did I think I need to sit there to return to human form? I guess I just need to use this anywhere. Okay. You know, I find it just really stupid that it doesn't restore the health when it restores the bar. I feel like it should, by default, fill up your health as well, but whatever. Is the dishonesty about the GOP tax bill. A lot, like the AP, the Associated Press, they said basically, it's giant tax cuts for businesses and the wealthy. And that's all they put in their tweet. I'm sorry, but there's such a thing as a lie by omission. There's a way to tell the truth and mislead people by saying something truthful. That's not false. There are big tax cuts for businesses and the wealthy. But the tax cuts for the wealthy are the same as the tax cuts for the poor or the tax cuts for the middle class. It's a game of percentages. And this is something that, you know, the Washington Post has no clue about. They had an entire article where they had no concept of how percentages work. If you make $200,000 a year, then 10% of your income is $20,000. If you make $40,000 per year, 10% of your income is $4,000. That's the same percentage, 10 and 10. But the Washington Post, as well as the Associated Press, try to represent that as a massive tax break for the wealthy. The wealthy get lots more in tax breaks. That's because that's how percentages work. You know, if somebody says you have to pay, if someone wants you to pay, 10% of your income in taxes, the more money you make, the more money you pay. So if there's a tax cut, the more money you make, the bigger the actual dollar number that you don't have to pay. But that doesn't mean that the wealthy get more. It just means they have a higher percentage because they make more money. That's how that works. If your friend makes $45,000 a year and you make $55,000 a year, you have more money. Period. Therefore, any tax cut will be a bigger dollar number for you, even though it's the same percentage-wise. And so that kind of dishonesty by the news media is just, in my opinion, unacceptable. That they're trying to represent it as, oh, look, it's a giant tax break for the wealthy. No, absolutely. Just wow. That kind of dishonesty. Blatant dishonesty. And just shameless, blatant dishonesty. That's the kind of thing where once you read an article like that and never anywhere is it explained or is it said that the same exact percentage tax break, relatively, is being given to nearly all tax brackets, when it doesn't explain that the middle class is also getting a big tax break relative to how much money they make? Yeah, that's a lie. That article is flat out lying. And one of the worst ways that the news lies to us is lying by omission, by simply leaving out very, very important details. You know, like when they gave the accusations against Roy Moore, they said that there were X number of accusers. Included in that were women like, for example, one who was an adult at the time that they dated, had no problem with Roy Moore, and just said they dated, both of them adults, and then it ended. But they included her in the number of, quote, accusers. How is that an accusation? Can you imagine if someone said that they dated you for a little while? You were both adults, you just dated for a bit, and then it was over, and that person was listed by the mainstream news media as one of your accusers? You have to put yourself in the shoes of the person being attacked by the news media. Imagine that you are the target of a hit piece, and then read the hit piece with your name in it, and you quickly realize how horrible the news media is. Because when it's about someone else, especially someone you don't like, you don't really notice how much they're lying. But when it's about you, you would notice immediately how much they're lying. Immediately. You would notice how dishonest it is, and it would strike you as just really, really terrible. So that's what you can always do. Anytime there's a hit piece out there, like the hit piece they ran on PewDiePie, trying to label him as like a Nazi or something, imagine it's against you. Imagine they're lying about you. Who is this guy? He is an NPC, I'm pretty sure. Sellsword Luet. What the heck is this? Two Havel? Whatever, let's go. Whatever. I'm not sure I can take you seriously, bro, but we're gonna do this. Yeah, skip that. I wonder if they changed him in any way, this boss. Uh-oh. Yeah, why don't you get in there, Sellsword Luet? Why don't you get in there and take all the risks, you and your giant heavy shield? Oh, I meant to two-hand that. Oh, that probably should have hit me. I'm glad it didn't. Okay, I need to back up. Oh, yep, I knew that was coming. Actually, you know what? Let's use Estus. I don't want to waste any of my gems. My precious gems. Uh-oh, here we go. See, if I had regular adaptability frames, I think I would have dodged that. Sellsword, I'm going to need you to get in there and take a more active role. Oh, shoot. Oh, I knew that was coming. I don't know if I've ever actually died to this boss. Like, maybe you guys know from one of my playthroughs, but I can't recall ever actually dying to this guy. I might have, but I don't remember it. Anyway, during the whole Roy Moore thing, you saw a lot of lies. And ultimately, it's a big giant case of, possibly, a case of the boy who cried wolf. Now, the biggest story against him, I don't remember the lady's name, but the lawyer was Gloria Allred, I believe. And the whole, you know, yearbook thing, that was the biggest thing against him. They basically admitted that they forged part of the yearbook signature or writing or whatever. And I'm sorry, but in the court of public opinion, that's the equivalent of winning a motion to suppress evidence. Now, you cannot say that you modified and edited part of the yearbook and expect not to be just completely discredited. She and her entire story in the yearbook in the court of public opinion are all out. They're done. Now, you modified them, you lied, you're out. So even if he legitimately did what you said he did, you presenting fake evidence means, no, it's excluded, it's out. And that was the most solid evidence they actually had against him. So really, if you look at it, yeah, I think the number of accusers and the stories, even though none of them were actually validated, it does cause concern. You certainly don't want a person who does the stuff that Roy Moore is accused of being in a political position of power. However, I believe that we should apply a sort of social level of due process that is roughly equivalent to the legal due process. And so in the social court of public opinion, I considered Roy Moore to be not guilty. Not innocent. There's a difference between saying he's innocent and saying he's not guilty. Not guilty means we don't have any proof, not substantial proof, can't prove it. There's nothing there sufficient for that, so we're just going to assume it's not true for the purposes of due process. And I think we should treat politicians the same way when accusations come up. You know, the problem is you can't just ignore accusations, but you have to look at the expediency of these things. Gee, let's see here. This guy is running for a hotly contested election. All of a sudden, here come a bunch of women saying he did this to me. Here come the accusers, just in time to hurt his chances of winning the election. And then whether he wins or loses, these accusers typically all just disappear and fade into the sunset, never to be heard from again. This happens over and over and over and over so many times. Actually, you know what? Before I level, I'm going to look up how much agility I do need so I don't put too many points into it. I'm going to put just enough to make it feel like Dark Souls level of invincibility frames. But you notice that. It's the same thing. Always against a male politician. Always a bunch of women alleging some sort of sexual impropriety. And just in time to hurt their chances of winning a hotly contested election. And then they usually fade away. And of course, this all comes with, they all follow the same pattern. Happened a long time ago. Nothing was ever mentioned to anyone ever. No police report was ever filed. The details are vague enough that it's usually unprovable either way. Can't prove it happened, can't prove it didn't happen. Fortunately, in the case of Donald Trump, one of the big stories, one of the most detailed stories, was actually proven false. The lady, I believe she was a flight attendant, claimed that Donald Trump lifted up the armrest and reached into her crotch. On that flight, on that model plane, the armrests were secured in place, could not be lifted up. They were hard secured in place. So her story was a lie. Of course, she faded away, like they always do. They just all fade away. There was even a lawsuit brought against Trump by a woman who was using a fake name at the time. She never used her real name. Then as soon as he won the election, the lawsuit just gone, dropped, disappears. But the lawsuit was there just long enough for the news media to run with it to hurt Trump's chances of winning an election. You have to see that. I'm sorry, but no one's going to take your allegations seriously when you waited 20 years until suddenly the guy's running for a hotly contested seat in the Senate or the Congress or whatever to suddenly come out and say, hey, he did this to me. I never mentioned it before. I never filed a police report. I was silent until now, but I decided to wait until towards the end of his campaign here to try to win this hotly contested election. Nah, I'm sorry. But in the court of public opinion, I think you should be looked on with extreme suspicion that that's probably a lie. But what do you guys think? I want to know. List it down in the comment section below. With that, guys, we're going to end this episode. When we pick it up next time, I'm going to level up enough to get my adaptability where I want. So my agility is where I want, so that my iframes are where I want. Until then, this has been episode 3 of Return to Drangleic. I'm Fox with Foxeo Plays. Make sure to follow my main channel, FoxeoGames. Also, check me out on all my various social media sites, including Gab, Minds, Twitter, Facebook, and all that jazz, listed in the description. If you do follow me on Twitter, please say hi and let me know where you saw me, whether it was here or some other video or whatnot. And I do try to respond to all that stuff. I'd love to interact with you guys on Twitter. Sometimes I'm a little rude on Twitter, but hey, you know, that's what social media is for, saying rude things to people you don't know. I also say nice things from time to time. I'm Fox with Foxeo Plays. I'll see you guys next time. Later.